Tip number one is you're going to want to always sterilize and clean any of the used equipment from last year to prevent any kind of bacteria, fungus, or insect problems from the get-go. So what you're going to want to do is just rinse it out. That's good there. Give everything a rinse to knock off as much soil and debris as you can. Don't forget about the underside. And then you're just going to want to sterilize it with something. Vinegar would work just fine. I prefer the rubbing alcohol. I feel like it's a more surefire bet at sterilizing and killing anything. So, get that nice and wet. Pour out any remaining water and then wipe everything down. And again, this is just going to help prevent any kind of issues from the get-go, whether it be a fungal or a bacteria problem or bugs or whatever. But that's why we do this. And you want to do both sides. Tip number two is you're going to want to pre-moisten your soil before you put your seeds in the little trays. And a trick that I like to do is use warm water. So we're going to grab a glass of warm water here. And then here we have a tray that's cleaned out and ready to go. If the soil's real dry, you don't really want to pour the water on top as it repels water and it's just going to move all your soil all around. So the trick is to use warm water. Put it in your tray and let it naturally wick up, and it's going to wick up a lot faster with warm water versus cold water. So we'll need a couple of those. There, that should be about good. And then in about a half hour that would be ready. Tip number three is when you're going to fill your containers, I always like to use like a tote or they make these really cool planting aprons. I've actually made a few out of used chicken bags, and I can even show you guys how I do that. But right now I'm just using an old Easy Swap opened up, and it's just going to prevent a lot of the mess that you'd get otherwise. Not my favorite potting soil brand, but it was what was quickly available. You want to make sure you pack it down pretty good, because you can wash the seed away if it's not packed decently. Another tip, you don't want to fill it up all the way, because then when you do go to water, the water will just kind of run off the top and pull soil around, and this gets to be a mess. But you want it all to be fairly firm. Alright, and there we are. Alright, so we have both trays filled. These ones, because it came from a fresh bag and the soil is partially moist, I don't have to pre-wet them from the bottom up. Like I said, when peat moss becomes completely dry, it becomes hydrophobic and it repels water, so that when you actually go to pour water on top, it kind of just the water forces down, lifts your peat moss and your potting soil and kind of makes a big mess. When it's partially wet, it absorbs the water very nicely. So these are ready to plant. I typically like to use bigger starters for like peppers and things that need to stay in there a little bit longer. And then I'll use these for like basil and herbs. So tip number 4 is you're gonna wanna pre-mark your seeds so you can remember what you planted in what cells. So that's a real quick tip. I'm sure most of you figure that out or know how to do that. As you can also see on the top here, we watered from the bottom and the water is actually wicked up. And for the most part, these are pretty wet. So those are ready to go for seeds. And we'll get going. First up, Sam Queen Thai basil. Beautiful purple basil. It's got a cinnamony type flavor. I honestly I hate cinnamon and I normally wouldn't like that, but I absolutely love this stuff. I like to plant 2 per cell. And we're not planting these very deep. Mostly on the surface. And then we're just going to want to pack it in real good. Next up, some holy basil. These seeds are tiny. Next up, the toothache plant, also known as bullseye. They had 2 different varieties of this. I picked this one because it was 2-tone. Last up for this tray is just some regular old sweet basil, Aton basil, never heard of it. Seeds are much bigger. Next up, Ancho gigantea pepper. Last year I didn't get any of these to grow. Too cold and wet of a season. And I don't even have that many seeds left, so I won't even get a whole flat potentially. I'm just gonna try 1 per thing. We'll hope for the best. They say typically you want to go twice the depth of the seed width or whatever. So like the basil and the herbs you want to keep on the soil surface. These are pretty much the same way, just barely in. Alright, next up, Royal Carpet Alyssum. I had 1 row left, so I'm just going to end up planting that up. I was hoping to do a whole flat of the other peppers. Seeds are small and there's plenty of them in there. Last up, some Mexican pepper that I saved from the community garden last year, a couple of years ago. Hopefully those are still good. We'll find out. So this Mexican pepper I'm pretty sure is a poblano, but I'm not 100% sure. We just know it's some sort of Mexican pepper, which is why it's getting that name. We're on tip number 4 or 5 here, but normally what I would do is I recycle my soil and then I put it in a tote when it's spent, add some more dry amendments to it and let it sit in that tote for a good 3, 4, 5 weeks, sometimes even a half a year, just depending on when I get to it, but I want it to sit at least 2 or 3 weeks. I didn't get a chance to do this because I just bought this potting soil. So then I like to use either worm castings. Here I'm using Bad Bunny Nutrients, which is literally just ground bunny poop. Awesome company in Michigan. But we don't want to just start our seeds out in the potting soil. It's good to have some sort of microbes, and you get that through poop, compost, worm castings. Worm castings and this bunny poop, you can't burn seedlings. You can't really burn any plants, which is why I prefer to use it. And so we just sprinkle it on as if Mother Nature sent a bunny right over to poop on our seeds. And yes, I'm touching bunny poop. So it's not really about the nutrients in the bunny poop, it's really more about the microbes and what would have been in that bunny's tract system. That's important. And then last but least is just to press them all down. Make sure we got good contact. Couple last steps to finish it up. Need a little extra moisture. Good idea to use a spray bottle so you're not washing the seeds that you just planted away. A lot of times if you ever planted seeds and then go to water with a cup and then wonder why your seeds aren't sprouting, you more than likely washed them away or buried them so deep that they weren't able to sprout. Second to last step is you can use just any old plastic. Sometimes I use just recycled plastic bags, but cling wrap works really well, and that will help create a little humid dome and keep the moisture down on the soil. So just like that, and then we want to find usually a heat mat for it, or just the warmest room in the house or somewhere where there's a heat vent or warmth, and that pretty much finishes it up. Once they sprout, or even the first one sprout, you're going to want to take the plastic off and then get it some light. So that should just about round it up in tips.